to teach you histology of urinary system. What is the action of what is the urinary system committed to do? Production of urine, it is by kidney. Transport of urine, that is by ureter. Storage, urinary bladder, and exit by urethra. Here you can see the urine production, it is done by kidney, then transport by ureter, and storage in the bladder and exit by urethra. Now again production unit, that is the kidney, again divided into two parts, that is the excretory part and collecting part. Excretory part is renal corpuscle. What is renal corpuscle? It is the Bowman's capsule plus glomerulus is the renal corpuscle, plus proximal convoluted tubule, then loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule, collecting tubule. Up to this much is the excretory part, and they are all together. This excretory part all together known as nephron, which is the structural and functional unit of urinary system. Always asked in a viva, what is the structural and functional unit of urinary system? It is nothing but the nephron, and they all together collectively known as nephron. Now collecting part. Collecting part, after collecting tubule, it is collecting duct or duct of Bellini or papillary duct. All are same. Then minor calyces, major callus, renal sinus, and the renal pelvis. Up to this much is the collecting part. A little bit about the gross anatomy. Here you can see this is right kidney and this is left kidney. They are situated in the paravertebral gutter. This you can see. Here is a abdominal aorta and inferior vena cava. This is inferior vena cava. This is abdominal aorta, and it overlies the vertebral column. Here is beneath that is the vertebral column, and this is the paravertebral gutter where kidney lies, and it faces anterolaterally. It is not straightforward. It is seen by somewhat laterally, and the distance of upper pole from the midline, it is 2.5 centimeter. Then the hilum 5 centimeter, and below the lower pole, the distance from the midline is 7.5 centimeter. So it is the longitudinal axis is like this. Inferiorly, it is going somewhat laterally, and it is the retroperitoneal organ. It lies against the L1, L2, L3 vertebra. Here you can see the covering of kidney. Kidney is enclosed within the four covering from inside outward. It is, here you can see this is kidney. Just after that there is renal capsule. Renal capsule, it is, you can, it can easily sloughed off. If we rub kidney, then it is easily sloughed off, this renal capsule. And then come perirenal fat. After renal capsule, this is perirenal fat, which is a brown adipose tissue, and it lies within the kidney as well as in the renal sinus. It penetrates within the renal sinus, and then comes renal fossa. Very important, renal fossa. How it encloses, you can see this is the anterior lamina where my cursor is going, and this in blue color, this is the posterior lamina. This is anterior lamina is also known as fossa of Tollbut, and posterior lamina is also known as fossa of Zucker-Kandel. this both lamina first approximate with each other at the upper pole of kidney, and then it again bifurcate and enclose suprarenal gland. Then it again assemble and form conal fossa. This is what? Conal fossa, which is attached with the diaphragm. Here you can see, this in purple clot, this is the diaphragm, and here it is attached with the diaphragm. This is the reason why with the respiration kidney moves. Okay, because it is attached with the diaphragm with the conal fossa. And very worth mentioning, here you can see that it is not approximated near the lower pole. It is at some distance, and it is covered. Here you can see this is the pararenal fat. The fourth layer is made up of pararenal fat, which is only present in the posterior aspect and the inferior aspect, where the support by the renal fossa is deficient. It is not supported by renal fossa, and pararenal fat is there, and with the starvation, when patient starve, it is used up by the body, lead to nephroptosis, that is the descent of kidney with the starvation. Very important viva question. Why nephroptosis occur? Because it is due to melting, due to used up by the pararenal fat by the body with the starvation. This will lead to descent of kidney. Now come to ductal system. Here you can see, this is the coronal section of kidney. This is pyramid. Pyramid is lightly stained, very important point, lightly stained, and in the periphery there is cortex. This is darkly stained cortex in the periphery. It is granular. Cortex is granular in nature, whereas the pyramid, they are 4 to 5 in number, and they are having striated appearance. You can see the striations, and it is lightly stained. And this cortical matter, it infiltrates in between the two pyramids, and this is known as column of renal column of Bartoli. Okay, and the pyramidal structure, this also infiltrate within the cortical matter. Here it is not shown, but this is striations, not limited up to here. It is insinuating the cortical matter and known as medullary rays. So often asked in the Viva exam, what is medullary rays? It is nothing but the pyramidal substance, that is the collecting tubule, which is coming out from the cortex to medulla, cortex to pyramid. Okay, medullary ray, it is again, as this is the lightly stained structure, medullary rays is also lightly stained, and they are nothing but the collecting tubule. Okay, and regarding the ductal system, here you can see this is the renal pelvis, and up to the lower pole of kidney, this is named as renal pelvis. Below that is, it is the ureter, and from the inferior pole of the kidney, it is renamed as renal pelvis, which opens into the renal sinuses, then major calyx and minor calyx. Okay, and here you can see the glomerulus, Bowman capsule, renal corpuscle is formed by the Bowman capsule plus glomerulus, that is the glomerular capillaries. After that, this is the proximal convoluted tubule, where my cursor is going. It is very lengthy and very you can say folded in nature. Now come the loop of Henle. It has got thick segment. Here is the thick segment and this is thin segment. And here is the loop. Then again, this is thin segment. Up to this much is the thin segment, and in blue color this is the thick segment of ascending limb of loop of Henle. Loop of Henle is formed by descending limb and the ascending limb. Descending limb and ascending limb both are made up of thick and thin segment. This is here where my cursor is going. This is the thick segment. After that, this is thin segment. So thin is more than thick in the descending limb, whereas in the ascending limb only this much is thin segment. So thin is less than the thick segment. Then come distal convoluted tubules, which go nearby the glomerulus. Okay, what we are seeing here, and forms the juxtaglomerular apparatus. After that, this is collecting tubule, where my cursor is going, collecting tubule, and it opens into the collecting duct. This is collecting duct or duct of Bellini or papillary duct, which opens into the minor calyces. Then there is major calyx, renal sinus, renal pelvis, like this. So this is our ductal system. Here you are seeing the cortical and juxtamedullary nephrons. Very important viva question. What is cortical nephron and what is juxtamedullary nephrons? Some glomerular structure. This is renal corpuscle, like just by the side of medulla. This is medullary pyramid, and just by the side of medullary pyramid, this is, you can see the glomerulus. This is juxtamedullary, and this cortical nephron, this is near the periphery of the cortex. This is cortical nephron. What is the difference between these two? Here, the juxtamedullary nephron, its loop of Henle dipped up to the inner zone of the renal pyramid, whereas the cortical nephron only restricted up to the upper zone. In the juxtamedullary nephron, there is vasa recta, the blood vessel which is encircling the loop of Henle up to the lower zone. This is forming the vasa recta, but here in this case it is peritubular capillary plexus in cortical nephron. Peritubular capillary plexus. And this is what we are seeing is one renal lobe. What is renal lobe? One renal pyramid. This is one renal pyramid, along with adjoining part of the cortical matter. Altogether, this much is the one renal lobe, which we are seeing here. One renal lobe. And what is renal lobule? I have said earlier, these are the medullary rays. It is infiltrating within the cortical matter. So one medullary ray plus the adjoining cortical matter constitute the renal lobule. Okay. Now coming to vascular system. Here we can see this is the renal artery. It divides into the segmental artery. There are 5 segmental artery because there are 5 segment of kidney. Apical segment, antero-superior, antero-superior, antero-inferior, and the posterior and the inferior. ठीक है? Apical anterosuperior, antero-inferior, then inferior and posterior. These are 5 renal segments, and so thus there is 5 segmental arteries. This segmental artery, when it runs in between the 2 renal pyramid, it is known as interlobar artery. Okay, here it is written interlobar artery because it is running in between the 2 renal lobe. Now it is making an arch. Where my cursor is, here it is making an arch. That's why known as arcuate artery. And now arcuate artery at the angle of 90, they are giving interlobular artery. Here it is written, not written here, interlobular artery, because they are running in between the 2 renal lobule. Interlobular artery. Here you can understand better. Renal artery, after this there is segmental artery, okay, then interlobar artery, then arcuate artery when making an arch, then interlobular arteries, and now it is making afferent arteriole. This is afferent arteriole where my cursor is. Afferent arteriole, then glomerular capillaries, then efferent arteriole. In the juxtamedullary nephron, they are forming the vasa recta. In the cortical nephron, they are forming the peritubular capillary plexus. After that, they are forming stellate vein. Stellate vein. After that, interlobular vein, arcuate vein within the 2 lobes. Just reverse of that. Interlobar vein, then segmental vein, then renal vein. This is the whole vascular system of the kidney. And one thing very important, that it forms the portal arterial system. There is 2 portal system, portal venous system and portal arterial system. Portal venous system is what? When the 2 capillaries, when 2 capillary system is connected by artery or arteriole, then it is known as portal arterial system, which is seen in the kidney, because glomerular capillary and the peritubular capillary plexus, they are connected by the efferent arteriole. 2 capillary system is connected by 1 arteriole. So it contains portal arterial system. Very important viva question. And where you will get portal venous system? In the hypothalamus as well as in the GIT, portal venous system. Now here is the glomerular filtration barrier. Here you can see this afferent arteriole, then forming the glomerular capillaries, and this is efferent arteriole. The luminal diameter of afferent arteriole is more, whereas the efferent is less. So here it create a pressure gradient which filter the blood. Okay, this is one thing. And there is glomerular filtration barrier. Everything will not convert into urine. There are certain limitations. And what are they? And how this glomerular filtration barrier is formed? It is made up of 3 layers. From inside out. This is the capillary space. Here you can see this is the glomerular capillary, which is lying by the capillary endothelium. This is capillary endothelium. And this one where my cursor is the common basement membrane. And this is podocyte. and this space is the filtration slit. So three component unite to form glomerular filtration barrier. First, capillary endothelium. Second, common basement membrane of capillary endothelium and podocyte. Third, filtration slit in between the podocytes. Podocytes are just like there is one body, and this is primary process. This is primary food process, and this is secondary food process. These food processes, like our finger, they are interdigitating with each other, but not completely. There are some space in between these digits, some space, and it is covered by a thin membrane. And through this, the blood filter, and there are two barriers, that is size barrier and charge barrier. Albumin, the size of albumin, and less than that of can filter. And second thing, only positively charged particle can filter, negatively charged do not. This is the reason why albumin do not filter. Okay, cannot cross the glomerular filtration barrier. About the size, that is the albumin, size of albumin, and less than that of can go through the glomerular filtration barrier. And second thing, that is only the positive charge particle can go across. This is our juxtaglomerular apparatus. This is the afferent arteriole, this is the glomerular capillary, and this is distal convoluted tubule. Altogether form the juxtaglomerular apparatus. Always ask in the exam, the renal corpuscle. This is where my cursor is, renal corpuscle. It has got visceral layer. This is visceral layer, and this is parietal layer. Parietal layer is formed by the simple squamous cell. In the red color, what we are seeing is the simple squamous. And again this is, but here is some differentiation. It is converted into podocyte, and this is the visceral layer. Okay, and what is this? This is the mesanglial cell. This glomerular capillary bath within the mesanglial cell, which secrete erythropoietin, which stimulate RBC production. And distal convoluted tubule, the part of distal convoluted tubule which comes into contact of afferent arteriole. It is normally lined by simple cuboidal cell. Here you can see simple cuboidal cell, but at this region only it differentiates into simple columnar variety. You can see here it easily, and this is known as macula densa. So often asked in the exam, what is macula densa? Macula densa is nothing but the differentiated cell of distal convoluted tubule which differentiate from cuboidal to long columnar type. Okay, and this afferent arteriole, here is the lining is the tunica adventitia, tunica media, and tunica intima. But at this region, tunica intima is absent, and tunica media, the cell, smooth muscle cell, it contains renin, which respond with the low sodium concentration as well as the sympathetic stimulation. Okay, and this is mesanglial cell which secrete erythropoietin, and altogether they form the renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system, due to which the water electrolyte balance and the blood pressure regulation is there. Coming to histological slides of kidney. This is the slide of kidney present in the veins pavapuri. Okay. Here you can see. So now I am coming to, suppose this is your master slide. You have got the master slide of kidney. Viva question. What is this? This is glomerulus. Glomerulus is, what is glomerulus? It is nothing but the glomerular capillary assembled like a ball within the Bowman's capsule. Okay. Now how can you differentiate proximal convoluted tubule and the distal convoluted tubule? Proximal convoluted tubule both are lined by simple cuboidal cell, but in the proximal convoluted tubule there is microvilli. There is microvilli, whereas in case of distal convoluted tubule there is no microvilli. So lumen is white. Here you can see more whitening. So white lumen. But in the proximal convoluted tubule, it is less lumen, but very significant, it is compressed. Proximal convoluted tubule is compressed and somewhat lengthy because it is more lengthy and it is compressed. That's why it gives flattened appearance. Whereas the distal convoluted tubule, it is not so lengthy and it is circular in cross section. You can see this is circular in cross section, but it is flattened. Always ask in the exam, why there is the lumen is narrow in proximal convoluted tubule, why not in distal convoluted? So your answer should be, there is microvilli within the proximal convoluted tubule which obliterate the lumen, whereas it is absent in case of distal convoluted tubule. What are the other difference? Examiner may ask you, what are the other difference? How will you can differentiate? Proximal convoluted tubule, it is darkly stained, whereas the distal convoluted tubule, it is lightly stained. Why? Because there is more mitochondria in the proximal convoluted tubule comparative to the distal convoluted tubule. So it is darkly stained and it is lightly stained. Not so significant in this, but you can say that these are the differences between these two, which we will get in the histological slide. Another slide of veins pavapuri. This is glomerulus. Here is PCT. Again you can very easily observe that this is flattened and distal convoluted tubule, it is round. The lumen is round. Why? Because it is compressed, it is more lengthy and it is not so lengthy. This is again, this is glomerulus, renal cortex. Glomerulus is always present in the renal cortex, not in the medulla. So if examiner will ask, proximal convoluted tubule, distal convoluted tubule, they are forming the loop of Henle. They are going within in the medullary pyramid. Then why not it be renal medulla? So you have to say there is glomerulus. It is only found in the cortical matter. So it is renal cortex, not medulla. Again, this is renal corpuscle and the glomerulus. This one, here is the collecting tubule. These are the collecting tubule. All are alike. Again, it is lined by the simple cuboidal. All are by the simple cuboidal. All are alike. There is no proximal convoluted, distal convoluted. These are the collecting tubule. histological layer of rest of the urinary system. Ureter, urinary bladder, urethra. It is mamma. Often a small kid always asks mamma to go along with, to accompany when they go to toilet. So urinary system, or restore in your mind that what are the histological layer in ureter, urinary bladder and urethra. It is mamma, mucosa, muscle layer and adventitia. Mucosa, that is epithelium plus lamina propria. Epithelium, that is transitional. Transitional epithelium is only found in the urinary system. That's why it is also known as urothelium. Here you can see transitional epithelium. It is CPU, the common processor unit. I'm just joking. It is cuboidal cell in the basal layer. Then comes pyramidal cell. And then umbrella cell. These are the umbrella cell, which is binucleated. Not all, but few umbrella cell. These are binucleated. So CPU, transitional epithelium. It transit. When it relax, it is multi-layered, 4 to 6 layer, and when it contract, it thinned out and become 2 to 3 layer. And all the cells are connected with the basement membrane via a fibrin, and the cells are adherent with each other by the desmosome. And another thing, it is covered by the glycocalyx, so that toxin of the urine will not enter inside. Glycocalyx layer. These are the peculiarity of transitional epithelium. And what about the muscle layer? It is in the GIT what we have read, outer longitudinal, inner circular. But here it is reversed. Inner longitudinal and outer circular. In the ureter, upper 2/3 is like this, and lower 1/3 there is also outermost longitudinal. Longitudinal, circular, longitudinal. Okay? In the lower 1/3 of the ureter as well as in the urinary bladder. In the urinary bladder, this is smooth muscle arrangement is haphazard. They intermingle with each other and known as detrusor muscle. Okay? Inner longitudinal, outer circular and outermost longitudinal in urinary bladder. Here is the histological slide of ureter. Again mamma, mucosa, transitional epithelium, lamina propria. The longitudinal and the circular, inner longitudinal, outer circular, and adventitia. Very characteristic star-shaped lumen. In one histological slide you can visualize the whole picture, but in urinary bladder only a part of urinary bladder you can visualize, but in ureter the whole scenario will be in front of you. This is urinary bladder. CPU, that is here is the cuboidal cell, this whole is the transitional epithelium. CPU, this is cuboidal cell, here is the pyramidal cell, here you can see the binucleated umbrella cells. Okay, and these are the muscle layer and these are adventitia. Very peculiar mucosal fold. The mucosa in the urinary bladder give rise to folded mucosa, highly folded. Now this is the histological slide in Bhims Papuri. These are the mucosal fold of urinary bladder this is the transitional epithelium, only epithelium you are seeing, and lamina propria, epithelium and lamina propria you are seeing, and these are the mucosal fold. Okay, this is again, but here is the muscle layer. Histological slide of urinary bladder, but here the muscle layer is focused, and you can very much confused with the histological slide of tongue. But in the histological slide of tongue, there is stratified squamous epithelium, and here it is transitional epithelium. In tongue, there is like C wave, like this stratified epithelium. But here it is urinary bladder is bigger, so only of not whole of the layer is visible in one focus, so only the muscle layer is visible here. Again urinary bladder, these are the muscle layer, and here is the mucosal fold, this is muscle layer, again muscle layer, and after that there is adventitia. This is urethra, but not present here, so it will not come in your exam, but this is the longitudinal section, and this is the transverse section. This is female urethra, this is male urethra, very much similar to ureter. Again mamma, that is the mucosal layer, muscle layer, and adventitia. So you need not to be afraid because the slide of urethra is not present here. This is transitional epithelium. But how will you differentiate in urethra? In ureter, here in ureter, this adventitia in white color, this is very much prominent. When now few minutes later you will visualize the ureter histological slide, in which adventitia will become very prominent, white all around. But in case of urethra, it is not so significant. Thank you.